My friends, this is Troy Brewer of Experiencing Real Life, heard every single day on Bible School Radio, 91.3 KDKR, Decatur, Dallas-Fort Worth, and on 91.3 KYJC Commerce.
Portions of KDKR's daily programming do not necessarily reflect the views of the management or staff.
Prudent Money with Bob Brooks is sponsored by the Prudent Money Foundation on 91.3.
Well, how to take control of your retirement. Today we're going to take a look. Stay tuned for Prudent Money. Good afternoon, this is Bob Brooks, and you are listening to the Prudent Money Radio Show. Thank you so much for joining me today. You know I do appreciate it. And I do have a line open if you'd like to call in. I am opening up lines today, 1-877-913-5357. You can always go to the website at prudentmoney.com. Send a question into the Ask Bob section, and I will get that taken care of for you. That's all at the website, prudentmoney.com. 1-877-913-5357. Well, happy 2023. So hard to believe that 2022 is finally over with. Some will say it was a good year. Some will say it was a bad year. Some may not have an opinion of it at all. But the bottom line is it is over, and a new year is at hand. So the question is, which we'll talk about a little bit later on in the program, what are you going to do differently this year that will benefit you, that will bless others, and that will bring you closer and deeper relationship with God? Big question. But I really encourage you to give it some thought, because it's not one of these questions where, for instance, tell me something that tell me some habits that are working for you, and tell me some things that went right for you, tell me some things that went wrong for you last year, and what do you want to change about your life that would make a vast improvement? Probably can't answer that all in one sitting, but it's really something to think about, to pray about. I love the whole idea of new beginnings, which is what New Year's to me represents. Closing the door on one year, opening the door on every year. It seems like we've been hosting the Prudent Money Radio Show now for 21 years. We've had our 21st anniversary this month. I think it's around this week, but I can't really remember. That was a long time ago. But I ask that question just about every year, and encourage you through the month of January to get a game plan to build better habits, to improve upon yourself, and not repeat. If 2022 didn't go so hot, then and there's a lot of things that didn't go so hot in 2022, and we can just kind of make some changes. But today we are going to talk. We're going to start off and talk a little bit about the market, what it's doing, what it's not doing. I'll tell you what it's doing. It's doing more of the same that it did last year. Believe it or not, a year ago today, maybe it was not the third, it was the second. It would be a year ago yesterday, but we had off, the stock market wouldn't open, was the very top of the bull market. Then from there, from January, actually, I take that back. It was January 3rd because January 1st was on a Saturday. But that's right. So from there, it dove right into a bear market where it's been vacillating the entire year. We're now at the year anniversary of a declining market. So what does this next year hold? Well, I'm not really ready to talk about that. But I do want to talk a little bit, give you a little bit of a preview of that. Maybe we'll get to that tomorrow. Maybe you'll get to it Wednesday. Tomorrow is Wednesday. Boy, I got my days mixed up and my years. Today is Tuesday. Tomorrow I may get around to really talking through what to expect with the market, what to look out for. Thursday, and I'll talk about this here in just a minute, Jim Rickards is going to be on the program. And you want to talk about somebody who's got the other side of the story. He makes a big case for his forecasts and what he thinks are going to happen. I've had him on this will be the third time I've had him on the program. It's been about 10 or 15 years since I've had him on the program, and we'll talk about that here in just a little bit. But, Wall Street looks for the Santa Claus rally. Well, that's the last 5 days, or the 5 days between Christmas and New Year's, plus the first 2 days of the month. Santa really hadn't shown himself on Wall Street. A little bit more of the same today as last year. I mean, just market's just not excited about anything, and it's a down day. And if you look at most Januaries, they're pretty positive, especially the first day. Not so much today, though. So Santa Claus rally, if it's positive, that's good things. These are all things that people pay attention to, but really are kind of worthless statistics. Then they have the January effect. If January is good, the rest of the year is good. What I would encourage you to look at and to consider today is, when are we going to get out of this bear market? If history continues to play out, there are 3 phases of the bear market that I think we have to be concerned about. The good news is that phase 1 is probably about the longest phase of the 3 phases, and it, I believe, is over with. The bad news is that phase 2 is starting, and we'll probably start to see something that we really haven't seen, which is volatility. Some big up days, big down days. The second phase is a lot quicker, and then the third phase is probably in between the first and second phase as far as being lengthwise. So we're probably looking at a bear market somewhere into the mid to end of this year, setting up the end of 2023, 2024 as maybe really good times to buy into this market. It's not going to feel very good probably, because the end of bear markets are the most volatile. However, I do want you to keep one eye, or 2 eyes, how about, on one thing, which is bonds. I believe that at some point, just like stocks, but even better, bonds are going to be a great place to put some money, especially for those of you who want to stay conservatively based. And I'm not giving advice by any stretch, so please don't hear me recommending or saying that I'm recommending bonds, because I'm not. I'm just saying look out, because the bond market is going, I think when the bond market does recover, because remember, bonds did just as bad. Well, for bonds, they didn't lose as much, but they still lost a tremendous amount last year. I have not come across this, but I do believe it was the worst year for bonds in the history of the bond market. Not so much for the S&P 500, the which I call the stock market. I think it was a little under 20% down for the year, which is not great. That was the biggest down year since 2008, which was down 38%, which was pretty brutal. But here's the interesting thing to me, is that everybody is predicting a recession. I don't think any time in history have we ever anticipated a recession more than we anticipate one today. Everybody says we're going to have a recession. Maybe so, maybe not, who knows. I think that we had a recession last year. I couldn't tell you whether we climbed out of it or not, because you don't really know what's true and what's not true when it comes to the statistics and the indicators that are generated by the government. But for sure, the high majority of economists are predicting that we're going to go into recession. So what's that look like when we're already expecting it? Typically, you don't expect a recession. And then how will the market react? It would not surprise me in the least if the market it starts a new bull market as we sink into a recession. I know that sounds obvious. Obviously, that sounds like, wow, how did that happen? Wouldn't be the first time that has happened. So we'll see. It could be a very interesting year. I think we'll get a little bit better of an idea of what's going on as we get through the month of January and kind of see what happens next. Hey, this is Bob Brooks, and you are listening to the Prudent Money Radio Show, 1-877-913-5357. As I was telling you, Jim Rickards is going to be my special guest on Thursday. He's the New York Times best-selling author of The New Great Depression, Aftermath, The Road to Ruin, Death of Money, Currency Wars, and The New Case for Gold. His newest book, Sold Out, How Broken Supply Chains, Surging Inflation, and Political Instability Will Sink the Global Economy. I know what you're saying. This does not sound like a very overly enthusiastic, positive interview. Well, it gives you a good look at the other side of the story. And this guy is very well versed in what's going on the other side of the story. I thought he was used to be with the CIA. He's got a lot of connections in Washington, a lot of access to information that we don't have. So we'll see. We'll see what he has to say. He does have one thing to say that I have been saying for a long time, is that how he talks about how rising inflation will ultimately lead to deflation in a few short years. I totally agree with that, because, and that it's not necessarily a bad thing. That is I think if you can start to anticipate what's happening and make the right steps, that this could all work out just fine for you. It just depends on staying connected as to what's happening. Hey, this is Bob Brooks. We're up against a break. Stick around, and I will be right back.
The Word for Today is excited to announce the new official online home for the ministry of Pastor Chuck Smith and Kay Smith, pastorchuck.org. At pastorchuck.org, you'll have instant access to thousands of hours of verse-by-verse teaching by Pastor Chuck Smith from Genesis through Revelation, and full access to special messages on subjects such as prophecy and much, much more. Also at pastorchuck.org, a full library of great teachings by Kay Smith, and a section where you can read some of Pastor Chuck's books online, all free of charge. So visit the new official online home of the Word for Today and the ministry of Pastor Chuck and Kay Smith. pastorchuck.org.
This is Rob Randall, your host and teacher of the Invisible War radio program. The Invisible War is the study of God's Word on how to walk in Christ's victory in the spiritual battles we face against the powers of darkness. Join me every Sunday morning at 9 right here on KDKR and KYJC in Commerce, your station for life.
Do you find yourself overwhelmed after watching the news? Sing more songs. A lot of our anxiety comes from the fact that we look at our God as being too small. Not that we're not tempted to do that, but we need to sing more psalms. Please join us 5 a.m., 1 p.m. Saturday, and 7 a.m. Sunday to hear Jason Wallace give expository teaching of the Bible.
Welcome back. This is Bob Brooks, and you are listening to the Prudent Money Radio Show, 1-877-913-5357. Well, the politicians are all very concerned about the future retirement, and the fact that not very many people are ready for it. Very few have a plan. I mean, you see this, you've heard the statistics, we've talked about it. Very few people have a plan. Very few people, people are saving. They're disengaged from their retirement. They don't want to make decisions. They have no idea if they're on track or not on track. Then there's the X percent of America who's got less than $100,000 in their 401k plan. The The statistics go on, and don't worry, your politicians are here to fix this problem. Now, I've said many times, I'm not really. Let me back up for a second before I go there. Let me say this. On December 29th of last week, yes, that was last week, President Biden signed into law a omnibus funding bill that included the Secure 2.0 Act of 2022. Said another way, Secure 2.0. Now, if I can say this without totally breaking down in laughter, the Secure Act, Secure stands for Sequel to 2019's Setting Every Community Up for Retirement Enhancement. Oh boy. So let's look at the Secure Act and keep this in mind. If they wanted to fix the retirement system, it would be really simple. In fact, they can even have their buddies on Wall Street make plenty of money doing this, and they wouldn't need how many thousand pages of a document. Of course, those multiple thousand-page documents certainly do help them hide things that they want to do because nobody reads the entire document. That always amazed me. But all they have to do is expand the IRA to where anyone can put as much into an IRA as they can put into a 401k plan. You just make the rules identical. It really is not rocket science. That's the first thing. The second thing is the bulk of this new Secure Act 2 puts a burden on the small business owner to make contributions when they may. I don't think if you now I'm purely speculating, so excuse me for this. If you went out and took a poll, a real one, and talked to small business owners, I seriously doubt that you're going to have the majority of them go, sure, I'll be happy to spend more money increasing employee benefits. Probably not going to be the case. No, yeah, absolutely. I know we probably have a recession coming next year, but I am happy to increase the amount of money that I pay my employees and hopefully get some goodwill out of it. Said no one. I just don't think you're going to see it. But nonetheless, we have Secure 2.0. So let's start with the first thing that I believe is a pure wealth redistribution aspect of this plan. They increase the starting age for required and minimum distributions as if I just don't get it. It doesn't make any sense to me. You know, required minimum distribution used to be 70.5. It's 70.5. If you didn't take enough money out of your retirement plan, you had to take a 4 or 5% withdrawal and pay taxes on it. So it's a tax grab. It's always been a tax grab by the government to move money from pre-tax to after-tax. Well, then they expanded it to 72 with the Secure Act, the first one. And the Secure 2.0 further increases the age to 73, and then by 2032 to age 75. So in another 9 years, you can dial that up to 75. It's so random. I just don't get it. Now, here's been my experience. This doesn't apply to most people because people are taking money out of their retirement plans to live off of. Okay? However, people who are set up for retirement that aren't relying on their retirement plans, it does hit them, and they're not real happy about having to take out a required minimum distribution, but they're because they're not. This is the thing about that particular generation. A lot of people have pensions. A lot of people are living off their Social Security and not needing to take money out of their IRA. So this whole required minimum distribution thing never has made sense to me. The second thing is let me back up and say, because they're just forcing people to take money out that they don't want to take out to begin with. Wealth redistribution. The second thing is enhance the new plan startup credit for small employers. They're going to give a tax break if you're a new employer, if you're a small employer, small business owner, whatever that means as far as number of people, and you get a startup tax credit. Then they're going to provide tax credits for plan contributions made by small employers. Now, don't be thinking that what's the big deal about all this money out of the small business? And there's still lots of money coming out of small business employers. They're just getting some tax benefits, which is the least that can happen. Then I like, if I could say this, I like this, but you got to see what they're doing here. Permit employer matching contributions on a Roth 401k. Let me read it. Under the Act, defined contribution plans, aka 401k plans, can add a feature that gives participants the option of having their employer make matching contributions on an after-tax basis to their plan's Roth account. What that's doing, they're trying to move the Roth 401k or the Roth IRA is funded with after-tax money. The 401k, the IRA, is funded with pre-tax. They're trying to move people from the 401k IRA type plan to Roth and pay taxes. So all this is much of it is give us the tax money now. We don't want to wait till later, because later in the Roth, whether it's 401k or just an IRA or Roth IRA, you take the money out tax-free. So this is great for most. I think this is great, but I'm once again purely speculating why I think they're doing it, but I think that is why. I love the Roth over the IRA. And then there's this, and I won't bore you with all the technical terms, but I will warn you about something. It says enhanced qualifying longevity and annuity contracts. Basically, those are big words for they're going to let you put an annuity, pay into a contract that will pay you an annuity, an income annuity down the road. Before you do that, and if you're over 59 and a half, where you can take money out of your 401k plan, what I would do is compare the competition from insurance companies to see what kind of a payout they will give you versus what kind of payout you'll get out of your 401k plan. Because I bet you they'll be very different, because that's an extremely competitive marketplace. So you want to make sure that you don't just jump on the plan that's in your 401k plan for income annuity. And income annuities are going to become a big attraction in 401k plans down the road if they're not already started that process. Give small incentives for contributing to a plan. Effective December 29, 2022, Secure 2.0 permits employers to provide incentives such as low-dollar gift cards to help improve participation in 401k and 403b plans. I really don't know what to say. You can have this Chick-fil-A card, $20 off your next meal. It probably costs about $20 to go eat at Chick-fil-A now. $20 off. This is your low-dollar gift card. Maybe it's only $10. They don't put the dollar amount in there. That's for putting money into the 401k plan. And then something that I've been definitely against is the making people join, forcing people, no choice at all. You have to participate in the 401k plan. I still think that should be an individual choice and not something that you're forced to do. There's several more things on here. We'll get back to this list tomorrow and talk through the rest of it. All sarcasm aside, there are some decent new regulations that are coming out. But once again, I don't know why they make it so hard. Expand the IRA and have it to where a mechanism to where your employer can contribute into it if need be. It fits everything, and it doesn't cost the employer hardly anything. But those are just my 2 cents. Hey, this is Bob Brooks. If you got a question for me, please go to the website at prudentmoney.com and send it in, because we are all out of time. Till we do meet again next time. Keep the faith and have a great rest of the day.
That's all the time we have for today. Questions or comments for Bob, or to find out more great information like what you've just heard, visit www.prudentmoney.com. Be sure to join Bob Brooks again for the next edition of Prudent Money.